Hey guys, what's up? It's Sean, Autotopia LA. Yes, we are still here with my friend Vinny. And look, you guys, we've shot Superformance Cobras, so it's not like my first experience with one.
Yeah.
But it's a Superformance Cobra with a really special motor in it. So before we dig into this one, in case you missed the Camaro episode, please go check it out. Vinny has a channel of his own called VinGIGGS, VinGIGGS. Go check it out, but you gotta promise me this. When you go there, in the comments say, I found your channel because of Autotopia LA. I love taking credit for shit in life.
Love it, dude. So pumped.
So I'm a fan of the Cobra anyways,
Yeah,
right? But
me too.
like we were talking about before, if you drive around in one that's spec'd to be kind of like an original Cobra, pretty much everyone's gonna ask you, is that a real one?
Yeah.
The Cobra R is so bitchin' because there's no question about it. You know it's not a real Cobra.
It's like the Pro Touring version of the Cobra. That's how I kind of look at it, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
The addition of the splitter, I can't remember what Doug called it, the strafe, I think he called it on the side.
Yeah, that's a great name for
The
it.
diffuser in the back, you know?
Yep.
Now, you didn't spec this car.
I did not. This was actually spec'd by a good friend of mine, Dan Long at Downforce Motorsports. He's a Superformance dealer in South Carolina. I've bought quite a few cars through him, and he's spec'd pretty much every car I've bought. And I go, you crazy? That's not gonna be cool.
Yeah.
And then I see the car, I'm like, bro, you got a talent.
What are the colors?
Flat out.
What's the color?
So this is liquid blue. It's a Ford color. So they put them on the new GT and some of their other lineup. And then I believe this is also the carbon flash. The black, and then I'm not sure the red color, but man, does it just tie in well together.
No, it's great.
And in the sun, unbelievable.
Light, I mean, it pops like crazy.
Good job, Ford.
So the whole car, though, is the official licensed Shelby. So it's not the Superformance chassis, it's what the Shelby Cobra was.
That's my understanding as well, right? I'm not an expert on the Superformance cars.
I mean, I know a little bit about them. I know they do the Superformance one, which has different suspension. It actually has a tendency to drive, I personally think, a little bit better. Whereas this one, I see the sticker there, so the official licensed one is really designed to be like what the original 427 Cobra was. Even with the VINs, it ends up becoming a continuation car.
Exactly.
You know. But what prompted me to want to shoot this is we're gonna show you the guys the engine on this.
We should do it together, huh?
I think it's so bitchin', the engine choice. Now the engine choice, is this also spec'd out?
This is also Dan, yep. And he came up with it both in the GT40 and in this car. And luckily I was part of some of the R&D funding up front for the GT40 version of this. And so I got really excited when I heard what motor this had in it.
Yeah, so this, my friends, is the 5.2 Aluminator. It's basically the same engine that comes in the GT350.
That's right.
I know there's some differences to it. I know they had an issue with the flat plane crank, and there was a lot of chassis modifications that were done to the GT350 so you don't get all the vibration.
Right.
It wasn't just drop it in like if you got the Roush small block 427 that so many people do on this car. This took a bit more effort to make work.
Yeah, my understanding, this is the second Cobra that's been built with the Aluminator motor. All of them so far have been built by Dennis Olthoff at Olthoff Racing. He's actually, funny enough, down the street from me. It's about 25 minutes to his shop. So he and I become close. And he does incredible work. He builds a lot of the Superformance cars when they get into the States.
Right.
So he figured out how to do this. Everything about it is just so cool. And then obviously I'm a little biased because, you know, the covers are blue, red, and white.
Yeah,
it worked on this car, right?
It really fits it quite well.
But my favorite part about the motor, isn't that so cool?
Yeah.
The driving experience with this motor. And that's something to me, because I've driven a lot of Cobras, really is the standout.
So you guys, we were talking off camera about it, right? The Roush 427 is the one I've had the most experience with. And I would say, honestly, it's probably been my favorite one to date so far. That torque is undeniable. It's really bitchin', but you gotta watch it because
be careful.
The car weighs 22, 23, 2,400 pounds, somewhere in that range. It's low 2000s. You know, you're making 600-ish horsepower, but it's all down low.
It's all down low.
I mean, you don't need to go above like $4 grand because you've made all your torque by then, and that car can get away from you.
It can. I have two Aluminator cars. This is one, my GT40 is the other. The Cobras I've driven, you touch that pedal and you gotta know, kind of know what you're doing, right?
Yeah, you're on guard.
This motor though, down low, the torque is real controllable.
Right.
And then it'll spool out to 8,200 RPM. So I cannot wait for you to drive this car.
And so this is stock. So you're like, what is it, 525, 530 something horsepower?
Out of the box, they're supposed to be 580. Dennis was telling me that generally he sees them land around 525 off the dyno. So let's assume this is probably putting down 525.
What transmission did you say it was in here?
It's the Tremec TKX, like a lot of the other Cobra builds that they do.
Which 5-speed's plenty for this car. I mean, it's just what you need.
Well, especially because you can wind it out so high. You don't need more than 5 gears in this car. Yeah.
I always thought it was neat what some of the general things Superformance does. Like they all come with Wilwood brakes.
Yep.
Quality brake.
Now, a couple of unique things about this build, and maybe some people have already picked up on it in your comments, but there's 2 really unique features. I think there's, less than 20, probably Mark III Rs that have made it to the States so far.
I don't know, it's a low number for sure.
So already they're low production cars, but you'll notice there's nothing to burn my legs on. This is the first Mark III R Roadster that they've built. You know, they forgot the side pipes, and then they also forgot the roll bar.
That one. Now I got
this one. I'm a little nervous about.
I like the look without the roll bar. Gotta admit, I do like it. Obviously, the safety elements of it, but I think unless you were being a real jackass, this can be a pretty hard car to roll. I mean, it's the low center of gravity.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the only way you roll this car is you end up off the road somewhere, and you know. We're not doing that, dude.
We're not doing that.
So is that why they call it a Roadster? Because it doesn't have the traditional, even though it is a side exit.
Yeah, because Shelby made Roadsters, some of the older cars, right? And actually, Superformance, I've driven a couple of them. They've remade the Roadster. You can actually order a Roadster. I like the masculine feel of the Mark III and the Mark III R, but for some reason on this color, maybe in this color, I like it without the side pipes. It's unique.
But the funny part is, we're saying no side pipes, but it is a side exit exhaust.
It is.
So it doesn't have the gigantic heat shield that, I'm sorry, it'll still burn you.
You're
I've caught my leg
right.
against it, and it's not comfortable.
You got to kind of slip your leg under there to get burned now, which is good. You know, these floors maybe, but when they sent the car out, they didn't send anything for this setup. So Dennis had to actually figure out how to create a side pipe for this car and how to attach it. And this is what he came up with.
And I know we wanted to make sure we got the numbers right for you guys on the wheel tire configuration. Do you remember what it is?
So we got 275, 35, 18s up front, and we got 335,
30, 18.
30, 18, yep.
It's funny that it's a 30, because I read the profile myself, but it's still some sidewall. Like it is. I don't know why, like sometimes a 30 looks really low on some cars and it doesn't on this car at all.
And these Continentals have been great too, because usually I'm a Michelin guy. I love Michelin Pilot Sports. That's what I have on most of my cars. But these are killer. I'd love to get your impression when we go drive it.
As they say, we're going to give it its day in court here.
We got terrible roads around here to drive it on too.
Yeah. By the way, you guys, don't ever come visit North Carolina if you're from LA, because you're going to be like me going, I think I might just ship everything out here. And
we'll find them a building.
This is really bitching, dude. I love these added elements of the R. To me, it like modernizes the car a little bit, makes it a little more, I mean, I know it was a legendary race car, but you know what I mean? It makes it look a little bit more race car.
But you know, it's kind of like end of era. The Ford versus Ferrari stuff has been a really cool feature to kind of bring these in the light again, you know, the GT40s and whatnot. But I kind of think it's a start to like, we're starting fresh again. Here's our new take, kind of like with all the Pro Touring cars. I mean, I used to be diehard, rotisserie restoration has to be original. Now I like getting in, turning the key and going. And this kind of, to me, represents that.
Totally agree. Even the diffuser, man.
I love the diffuser.
Yeah.
And I love that they kept this original element too. You know how they used to jack the car up in the races. I love that they still kept
they keep it on the front and back. Yep. And it probably still has the tiny little compartment where you have enough room to, like a back. Ah, no, that's right.
They're pretty good size, believe it or not.
You could put a small dead body in there.
Out here would be a deer.
And then interior on it is...
Yeah, again, a Dan spec. He kept it pretty simple. Yeah, and all he wanted to do was pull the red in the stitching inside the car.
I'm not talking smack at all, you guys, but I've been in a Factory 5. I've been in, drawing a blank on the other company that's known for making...
Backdraft.
Yes, thank you. Personal opinion, I think the Superformance car is just kind of night and day.
Hands down.
I remember the Backdraft one I drove, every time I would hit a bump, it was bump steering and it was just kind of sketching me out.
Wait till you drive this. Literally, just standing here puts a smile on my face. I mean,
I'm sure.
This is my 9th Superformance car.
Is it really?
It's in, I think, just under 4 years. So I'm diehard Superformance. I love their brand. I love you know, the history that kind of ties in with them. It's almost like Mr. Shelby recreating, you know, the cars again, getting behind them. And because I've had a Daytona Coupe, I got another one coming. These guys got to see their cars come back to life. That's what I love about it.
Now, the gauges are
these, I think, are standard in the Cobras.
They're not the Stuart Warner gauges, though.
No, they're not.
Yeah,
they almost feel more modern, don't they?
They do.
Yeah.
I'm not talking smack or trouble or anything, but I do personally. I love the Stuart Warner.
I know.
Gauges.
Same here.
It so belongs in this car for me.
Yep.
But again, with this car being the R, it's a step away from the traditional, so it's okay to step away from the traditional, you know?
Yep.
It's so funny, dude. I don't know if any of you guys have ever been in a Cobra, but if you haven't, you instantly sit down and you go like this. You sit down and then you move your feet way over to the left to actually get to the controls.
And you got to be careful between the brake and the throttle, because I was riding with my wife one time and I was like, watch this, and I was going to get on it and I hit the brake pedal instead and we fell over our heads. I'm like, oh, you probably relate if you've driven one.
I did the opposite with when we were shooting our friend Doug from Superformance. We were shooting his GT40. He went, you know, it's a really tight pedal box and, you know, watch where you're placing your feet. Oh yeah, of course, I got it, Doug. Put my foot down on the brake and it was the accelerator.
Oh, no.
You good with the pedals? Because they're really close.
Yeah.
Okay. Whoa, 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 whoa.
I guess not. That was the brake.
Yeah.
Just threw that thing up to $6 grand or something like that. Like, oh my God, I've never seen Doug make that face before. Well, dude, I know there's, you know, we can probably talk more. I mean, this is different from your Camaro, where the Camaro, there's so many custom elements to get into. This really is, at the end of the day, it's a Superformance Cobra R.
Exactly.
With a wonderful, cool power plant to it.
Yep.
Bitchin' spec. I think we should just
need to go drive
it and then we'll
That's
talk about
where I think you're going to have more to say.
I'm
this
finding
is a
myself
special
running
Cobra.
out of things to talk about. Let's go drive it.
You won't. You won't after we drive it.
Oh man, I haven't sat in one of these in a while and it just feels bitchin'.
Feels right at home,
God,
doesn't it?
I love these.
So cool.
You know what's funny too is I've been in one, you know, real deal 427 Cobra that our friend Tommy Dreesy owns. I mean, they feel almost identical.
Do they really?
It just,
so awesome.
You know, sure, this is nicer, it's newer materials and stuff, but if you want Superformance to build, you like, no, I want it to feel like I'm in 1967.
Yep.
Yeah, they'll do that.
Yep. But here's the trick. You could spool this sucker out.
No, I get it. It's funny, I own a GT350. I've been wrapping my head around that you don't have to shift at 6,500 RPMs.
Exactly.
You can keep going. But you know what I mean? Like American V8, your brain tells you, yeah, this can't be good for the car.
Well, it's like when I go from this to get in that 67 we drove earlier, I go, oh shit, I gotta shift.
Yeah, Superformance really gets it. And no, you guys, I'm not paid by Superformance. I'm just telling you the truth.
That's right.
The exhaust setup on this car, though, that doesn't sound like what I'm used to the Aluminator sound.
It doesn't.
It's got a real low-down, girthy kind of sound to it.
Yep. Whatever they did, do more of it.
Yeah, for sure. So funny. Second gear, 3,500 RPMs. It's just about to come to life.
It does, yeah. Yeah. Yes, in this car, I hang in first gear a hell of a lot longer.
Oh, dude.
Isn't it weird to drive a Cobra where you don't have to shift?
It's bizarre. I'm used to like getting to third pretty quickly.
Yep.
And then you're second to third the whole time you're driving.
That's right.
Man, there's such a charm to these, you know, I mean, like some of the things that might drive others nutty, your body, you know, obviously my feet are way off to the left.
Right.
It's part of the charm of a Cobra. You got this big friggin' transmission tunnel here. You gotta put the pedal somewhere.
Gotta put it somewhere. It is really a unique driving experience.
It is manual everything. I love manual steering, the manual brakes on it. It is bizarre not having to shift at all. It's just a trip.
Isn't it crazy? And you're still not even halfway through the RPM band.
No, I know. It's right about here is where, if I dig in, it's going to start making torque here.
And it's going to throw me back in my seat.
Yeah. I mean, it's not going to really hit torque till 5,500 or so.
And you'll see if you...
Oh, shit, I just noticed. That's been second gear the whole time.
Second gear the whole time. That's why I brought it up.
God, dude.
And you weren't even halfway through the RPM band. And what were we doing? 45, 50 miles an hour?
50 miles an hour, yeah.
That's awesome. It gets a little scary, doesn't it?
It does what this engine's known for. As it keeps coming up, it does keep producing more and more and more and more torque.
I felt you get a little sideways on it for a second there. I was like, whoa.
Slight little.
That was awesome.
Slight little spin.
But the suspension in this car holds up so well.
I tell you this much, I ain't going up to 8,000 RPMs in this
Remember
car.
we talked about that off camera? I was like, bro,
it.
I go to like 6,500 and I'm like, oh, I'm good.
Yeah, yeah. For any of you guys that have never been in or driven one of these or even any of the other replica continuation Cobras, I mean, you're talking about a car that's under 2,500 pounds.
2,450 this one weighs.
Is it really?
That's what it is, yep. It's a lot of power and a lot of power band for that light of a car.
It really is. They just make it so drivable, though. I mean, how buttery the transmission is, clutch is effortless.
Effortless.
Sooner or later, I'll have a Cobra. I will have one. I've thought all along, for sure, I would do the small block 427 Roush motor.
Too much torque, in my opinion.
I mean, I think this is the way to go.
It's that usable power band we keep talking about. It's just, it's so fantastic.
Yep.
You're not going to get in trouble on down low. You don't have to worry about ending up over there.
No. No, I think the only time you get in trouble in this car would be if you're trying to really hammer it through turns. You're way up in the RPM.
Right.
You're going to have a car ready to get loose on you.
And it still sounds like a Cobra, but it sounds like a unique Cobra. Like it's a different vibe.
Definitely. But I'm surprised, actually. I was expecting it to sound radically different from what I'm used to with Cobras. Oh.
And then now, if you were to go into fourth gear and just let it cruise, listen how quiet it gets.
Right.
So now we're having, like I can hear you, like no problem.
Yeah, totally.
So that's the other thing I like about this motor.
And it's still totally drivable way down at 2,000 RPMs.
It is.
Do you guys hear those D-cell pops? That's musical popcorn right there, man.
I'm hooked, man. I love this car. I really do.
Now, how many miles? I can't see the odometer.
428.
And how long you had this one for?
About a month, probably. Again, I cannot own a car and not drive it.
Yeah, yeah. So you guys, something we've been kicking around on an idea that's formulating late afternoon today between me, Vinny, John Hotchkiss, Ken, is maybe a rally of some sort out here.
Yeah, man. Blue Ridge Mountains. And if you're from California, I mean, I grew up in El Segundo, so I'm a California born and raised until I was 35 years old. And I used to drive Angeles Crest every other weekend on Sunday, and I've done Malibu and Mulholland, all that stuff, all the time.
Sure, sure.
I have never driven better roads in my life than the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Blue Ridge, really?
Ever. And there's not as many cops.
And the roads are probably better quality.
Oh my God,
as well.
They're incredible. They're freshly paved. They're amazing.
That's 2 of your cars today I'm falling in love with. Not supposed to do that. I mean, that's like 5,500 RPMs.
Yeah, I know. But you're used to the regular Cobra, so you're like...
It's just dramatically different.
Yeah.
This engine really changes the game of it.
Maybe this time try to take it up even a little bit higher and see what happens.
I mean, did you hear what the owner said to do? You gotta please Vinny.
was still feeling pulled the entire time.
The whole time. I just remembered too how great the pedals are, how easy it is to blip to rev match.
Yep.
Oh, and those little burbles down low like that. God dang, man.
This car screams. This car
So bitchin'.
I mean, I would hope
This
so.
thing's outrageous, dude. Bumps like that like that. I remember driving the backdraft car.
Yep, you feel them a lot more.
Well, and it bump steered. You'd hit a bump like that, and you'd get the wobbly bump steer, and it just scared the hell out of me.
Yeah, these cars you get none of that bump steer.
Nope, not at all. The licensed in the Superformance car, I like the Superformance a little better because it's even as stable as this one is. The Superformance car is even like more stable.
More dialed.
Oh man, it's really hard to not run away from the camera car because I want to keep going.
I know.
All right, so that's the hottest I've hit it. That was like 6,200.
And it's still just...
And it's just, there's so much left to go on it, you know? Well, I bet that's blowing out their eardrums.
I bet you it is. Yeah, this motor and setup puts out a lot of different tones in a lot of different places.
A lot.
It does.
I mean, really, like, I'm noticing 3 really distinct tones. I don't know if the audio will catch it for you guys, but it's like right there's one of the different sounds, and then
you feel it through your body.
dude,
When you come off the high RPM,
I think
it's incredible.
I really think this is the fucking engine for this car, man. I mean,
Hands down. Dan, with being forward thinking on that, there was a lot of like, I don't know, it's not gonna, from other people. And the second I drove it, I was like, this is it. This is it.
yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be pulled like they have been historically, the 427. But it's because it's what everyone does. I think the more people hear this, they're going to be like, yeah, I need that Aluminator.
It's phenomenal. It's a little more expensive because what it takes to actually get the motor to get in there, and it's a little more labor intensive, but totally worth it. I've driven 4 Cobra variants. I've done the 427, I've done the 351, I think I did a 383. This by far has been my favorite.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Especially the like you were saying, now I drop it down there, you can cruise along and talk quietly. And
Yeah.
it's not like lumbering and logging along. I mean, it's fine.
And I haven't, as a passenger, I haven't felt nervous one time while you're driving this. I haven't felt like, oh man, you got on a little too hard in the beginning. Like, it's very comfortable because I can tell you feel like you're in control.
Yeah.
The power's not getting away,
No, it's hilarious to not be shifting. I'm in second gear, dude. We're at 55 miles an hour.
And we're at 4,000 RPMs. What do you think this would round out to? You think it would get up to about 90 miles an hour in second gear, 80?
Oh God, it's got to get
At
up
least?
there.
Yeah.
Got to. Did Dennis give you the information on what the rear end is geared at, or Dan? I mean,
355.
it is 355.
It is 355. Yeah. drive-bys, I'm cool with it, man. You do.
Sure?
Yeah, whatever you want to do.
I am not going to fight that. And we're not going to do a pull away. I don't want to try spinning tires in this car. No need to.
I'm with you on that. Yeah.
No need, man. Should I turn around here?
Yeah,
or is
perfect.
It too dirty?
No. This is awesome. No, I like getting my cars dirty. That way I've not been driving them. So good, dude.
Not even a gear shift, like, and not even hitting the rev limiter.
Yeah, no.
Friggin' nuts.
Yeah, there's not a day I've been here in 6 years that I haven't felt like I've been on vacation.
Really?
How weird is that shit?
God.
Well, I guess if you've grown up in LA and you're part of the grind and the bustle and the traffic all time,
Yeah.
and then you come to this.
That car is just badass. I've driven a bunch of Cobras, Superformance Cobras, most of them with the small block 427 from Roush. This is my new favorite engine in that car. The sounds that it makes, how it just keeps revving to the moon with the Aluminator motors known for as high revving, but it also makes torque down low in this car, which was a bit astounding to me. Really, truly knocked out. Gotta say a massive thanks to Vinny for bringing us out here to North Carolina. I would love if some of you guys would go check out his channel, VinGIGGS, VinGIGGS. Go check out his channel, maybe give him a like and a follow and a sub and all the different stuff that you can possibly do. And remember, tell him that you found him because of Autotopia LA, because I like taking credit for stuff. That said, you guys, as always, man, I genuinely thank you for hanging out and watching what we do here on the channel. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next episode. All right, man, later.